All right, we're going to shed some light on some deceptive tactics that Facebook uses to make advertisers overspend. Now, this is becoming more of a problem as time goes on. It's always been a problem since day one, but today with Advantage Plus, there's so many ways that Meta is taking advantage of advertising spenders, and especially when it comes to in-platform recommendations. We're just going to go through a few things that you can do today off the bat and save your money when you're spending on ads. It's very important that ad dollars, especially when today cost per clicks are higher than ever across platforms. Obviously, there's some better than others, but they're higher than ever. You need to be very careful with your ad dollars. No matter what you're selling, 3 years ago, it was easier to sell that. And it's not your fault. It's not the fault of the Facebook algorithm. It's just a pure game of volume, and you're bidding against so many people every day on these ad placements that Facebook has so many nuanced ways where they can essentially make you overspend without you feeling like you're overspending. Sometimes it even feels like a bargain, which Facebook really pushing the envelope and making advertisers believe deceptive data. So if you're bleeding ad spend on Meta, if your ad costs are rising and your performance is dropping whatsoever, it's Q1 2025 now. In 2025, as you're scaling, if any of these things are happening, this is going to be relevant to you and some key takeaways that you can apply right after this video. You might not even be aware of it, but you're probably burning an additional 10 to 50,000 a month, depending on where your budget's at. And understand, one of the first things you can do right now is see if your fundamentals are set up right and evaluate, are you spending for what your believed CAC is, and look back on your previous spend, audit that, look at how many results did I actually get from my spend, and if you're not tracking that on a monthly basis or at least a weekly basis, honestly. Monthly basis if you're really small and you don't have that much volume, but if you have at least 20, 30,000 in spend, you should be looking at this on a weekly basis and making changes on a weekly basis. You have to let Facebook, have 5 to 7 day periods of time, especially when you're making large changes or budget scales, unless you're obviously not getting results, but give yourself a 5-7 day period, and we're going to talk about some of the things you should and should not be looking for when you're doing that in Facebook. If you don't know who I am, I'm Chai. I started ConversionWin a year and a half, 2 years ago now, and I just work with e-commerce D2C founders scaling their ads on Meta, Google, and TikTok. If you're already spending on Facebook, Meta, or TikTok, and you're looking for better attribution setup or better setup generally while you're looking to scale, watching that CAC on an exact granular basis, go to conversionwin.com. We'll look at your ad accounts for free, and we'll take a look at what we can do for you. Meta's ad manager is full of smart features. And when they say, there's a few terms throwing around a lot. There's the Advantage Plus, which is the most common, obvious one. There is the Advantage Plus sales campaigns now, which are sales campaigns with Advantage Plus audiences. This is a sort of new push out, and it's pretty much as bad as PMax shopping for Google. It's a huge jumble array of products being displayed in ways you can't control, and it's really a mess. They make it sound helpful, but they're just rigged. They're rigged to make you spend more, and they make it simpler for you, and sort of that trade-off makes it almost fair for them. In the Facebook realm, when they're making it all in one campaign, one audience set for you, taking away that thought process of who you're targeting and whatnot, and leaving it up to the whims of AI, it's really not as powerful as people think it is, especially when advertising is such a big part of your paid acquisition spend. You should not be leaving all the changes up to the Facebook AI. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't be automating things? Absolutely not. You should be going through all of your ad platforms and looking for ways to automate every single part of your processes. And I mean creative testing, I mean budget changing, I mean keyword checks, I mean every report that you run on a weekly basis. Nothing really should be manual in terms of executing it. Now, making decisions, this should still be manual. If you leave the Advantage Plus AI to take care of your budget, they will happily deliver you 30, 40% worse results and essentially make you feel like your audience is still learning, or there's an opportunity score. These are their favorite terms. Opportunity score is another one, right? They have this score which absolutely has no correlation to how warm the ad set is, how many conversions it's getting. It's essentially a score with arbitrary metrics to make you feel like some ad sets are ahead of others in a learning stage or before others. It's really a way for you to nudge you to look again at certain ad sets that you're just not looking at or overlooking for the right reasons sometimes. You might literally overlook your terribly performing ad sets and either have turned them off or have maintained them at an extremely low budget where they tell you there's an opportunity for sales there if you scale. So they tell you there's some kind of opportunity when there's really nothing. And from AI testing to budget shuffling, they silently bleed your ROAS. And they couldn't care less. When they say opportunity, you don't know, is it an opportunity for them or is it an opportunity for you? It's really, if you do the back testing and look at a bunch of data, you're gonna understand fast that opportunities for Facebook are everywhere. They can take your money by changing the slightest nuanced, targeting feature, serving you extra clicks overnight. There's all sorts of ways that this AI doesn't follow spending patterns that you actually want it to. And as much as we want to just think that AI is the most efficient way to do this, the AI is a supplemental tool that we can add. I've made a bunch of other videos about AI tools that you can add into your ad platforms. Now, these are great third-party integrations to test out, very controllable, very specific on the changes they're making. They're not necessarily favoring you, but they are favoring you. You are paying them a subscription. They have all the more reasons to keep you as a subscribed customer for their AI tool. And you can do this across the board. So if you're going to implement automation and AI, it's very important to do so, but don't do so in the way that only benefits Facebook. So when you're creating an Advantage Plus sales campaign, like I was talking about earlier, Meta literally defaults to limiting your audience once you start this whole Advantage Plus scheme, is what I would call it. If you want to switch back, you have to go back to the audiences and you have to double confirm and triple confirm that you're going to lose sales. They ask you literally, you are going to get less results. Press confirm. And it's almost like a retention strategy. I would love to see the numbers on that to see how many less users switch their ad sets back to standard targeting after they go to Advantage Plus. And I would bet the numbers are staggering after this change was implemented, where they make it seem almost like an error when you turn off Advantage Plus, when it should be the obvious choice. So switch back to standard placement unless you're ready for scale and all of your numbers on the back end and your front end are acceptable. And by front end, I mean your ad dashboards. Make sure that they're well above acceptable. When I mean acceptable, you should have your CAC that you need for your business, and they should be well below that. If you're not, then you're honestly wasting your time. And you shouldn't be running ads in the first place if you're going to hand over a budget to Facebook and let them do anything they want with a budget. It's really a inefficient and unnecessary tax that you're going to pay to Meta because you feel like your D2C product needs to be shown on Meta because everyone else's is. And if it doesn't make sense for you in the situation, then you should just not run it. There's a lot of other platforms, there's other strategies to acquire customers. You need to look at those. and don't settle on the easy way out. It will likely end in an unfavorable spending situation. It's going to cost you reach, conversions, and cash. Very obvious why. Some things you can do right now, right? Bring out all your ad accounts, open them up, turn off and audit everything that says meta recommendation. Anything that they email you about, and sometimes they do sort of an emergency alert or some kind of, email, like scary email telling you that you are going to lose so much money if you don't turn on meta recommendations. And it's honestly like one of the biggest jokes in ads. It's like we have the advertisers and then you have these Facebook reps. And when you have accounts that are big enough, you get, your own Facebook rep that literally will just keep calling you and keep emailing you on a consistent basis. Literally, and I hate the ending of these calls. One time I picked one up, this was a few years ago, I picked one up and I talked to them, and they're literally just telling me, listing out the recommendations that are on the dashboard. It's like a sales call. Like, imagine they're spending resources and time to pay people to be on the phone, to cold call and not even cold call. They directly call and they just try to convince you. They just right over the phone ask you sort of how your campaigns are going. And the eventual goal is just for you to follow their bullshit recommendations. So turn off these traps, reclaim your budget. And usually, if somebody is direct calling you every single week and you don't want them to call you, they're probably selling you something that's more profitable for their company, right? If they're going to, obviously we know ads here are a product, right? But to tell you to follow recommendations like auto campaigns and things that take away control from the advertiser is literally a deceptive strategy. And to make things worse, right? They have this auto enhancements for your creatives. And I want to start with this one specifically because it's so funny and it's so ridiculous that Facebook has these auto enhancements for your creatives. They take your creative that you spend time and effort on, and you got perfect visuals and audio and everything. Maybe you got an agency to do it. All these things happen, and they literally take your video and make the crappiest AI overlays and reformats of it, and they call it an auto enhancement. It's amazing. Automatically taking your pre-made creatives, chopping them up, adding random music to it, and then testing it in its Facebook algorithm way. You are paying one audience, which is a black box. Then you are giving your creatives up and allowing them to be shuffled and manipulated in a black box. And if you follow the recommendations, you're going to be losing money on every other end. So right now there's also the AI testing in advertiser settings. Turn that off. It's another way for them to say, here's an ambiguous spend block, and we're going to give you testing results with nothing more than a loading bar inside of it and tell you we're going to test it for another 5-6 days, and if you spend too little, be warned, your ad set is not going to be learning fast enough. So start spending faster. And that makes sense if you're actually testing, but if you're letting the quote-unquote Facebook AI test happen, you are in for a rough ride. So switching to the original audience option manually. This is what I was saying earlier. The deceptive part is that when you switch your audience to the Advantage Plus, it basically makes it a few more extra steps and signatures and warnings before you go back to the original audience you're targeting. Even if it was working, it doesn't matter. They never considered that when they let you switch to Advantage Plus. When it comes to going back to your standard targeting options, they double confirm you, saying you will be missing out on results. Like, are you okay with this? Confirm. And it's like, and they don't even let you do it on the main ad dashboard. You have to go into the Audiences tab. So that's something to keep in mind. And just be on the watch for it. Don't let these go too far. Here's a simple test for a D2C client. They were doing around 30,000 a month in spend, and they were losing 5.8K a month to smart suggestions. If you looked at their attribution, they were literally spending money on nothing. And they continued to spend money on ad sets that produce nothing because Facebook told them, this is Advantage Plus. If you're already optimized and then you're looking for massive scale, that's when Advantage Plus comes in. But like this person, if you start to use Advantage Plus before you're ready, you're going to be burning an additional 5-10 grand a month, which could be directly reinvested into ads and actually be acquiring customers for the cost that you need it to be. So it works. You just need to override Meta's defaults. Meta ads are not dead. There's so many people out there making money on Meta. It's just getting a little bit more expensive, and you need to get a little bit more sharp in how you're looking at your customers. Book a free audit at conversionwin.com. So if you're struggling with any weird Meta or Google things on your ad accounts, comment them below, whatever you're struggling with, and I'll make new videos about those.